as the blue team up against Dignitas, the old foes maybe in the red team. They are having to defend or invade effectively the home soil of Europe and see who draws first blood.
And right off the bat, I want to see if we get a 2v2 lane, because this is something I've been waiting to see from supports for a while. Kazmich has not started with a standard support item. He's went with more wards. If he can get some lane control early on, Alliance might have superior warding, which could potentially enable Shook to make a couple extra plays out of the jungle.
Already the axes being thrown, the spears going through, but nobody really landing. And going off yesterday's matches in the promotion series where Copenhagen Wolves versus Mio Makers, the invades were coming, but they weren't engaging with each other.
And in this game, yeah, if they ran into each other at level 1, we could see some action, but these aren't teams that are built for level 1. These guys are just kind of waiting out the early game, and I really want to see how the team compositions and laning phases actually take shape, because we have to mention, again, Dignitas got pretty much exactly what they wanted. The only thing I could really see is, obviously, Alliance's bans were kind of haphazardly thrown around. They banned out one of Cruiser's champions in Dr. Mundo. They banned out one of Scar's champions in Kha'Zix, and one of Kiwi Kid's champions with Annie. But everyone on Dignitas goes more than one deep. They didn't really target anyone with these, and I think Dignitas is going to be incredibly comfortable here.
There's also a bit of a different start coming out from Kazmich here. He hasn't gone with the coin, which a lot of supports pretty much rely on these days.
We definitely have to see, since we have the 2v2 matchup already taking shape, where that plays out. Another thing with the Zilean support, it's like, if that comes in, importantly, how is he going to have gold in later game? How long is it going to take him to get that ancient coin?
We will see, of course. Don't forget, he'll be giving experience to the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, and that's actually the key part why a lot of people play Zilean. And Shook isn't actually going for it right now, but there's a thing you can do with Zilean support. If your jungler takes one experience quint, does the blue buff, and then the red buff straight, he gets level 3, just like in Season 3. It's something you can't do on the 2014 season. And we were talking actually with the NIP guys about that. They were telling us about Kazmich's strategy with support Zilean, but Shook is doing the slow jungle clear. He's not going for the rush level 3. He's just happy farming.
So we'll see who really goes for the first attempt, the first kill at the moment. It's a slow start, as I kind of expected between these two teams, because there's a lot of honor on the line, a lot of bragging rights on the line, and also for Alliance, a lot of hype on the line behind them. So Dignitas, there's no real pressure on Dignitas really coming into this game.
No, they're definitely the underdogs here. People aren't expecting Kiwi Kid to do well on support. Everyone is just kind of saying, oh, he died the most in the top lane. Let's just move him down to the bottom lane as support. What does that really solve? How is he going to play against world-class bottom lanes? But if there's a time for him to succeed, it's when there's not too much pressure on him, because no one's expecting him to succeed, and Tabs and Kazmich don't necessarily have world-class synergy yet, since they are also a very new duo.
But I would argue that Tabs potentially has more experience than QtPie as well, because while he obviously came in quite low, it's going to be a gank. They're going in towards Kiwi Kid. They've already put the slowdown and the bomb. Can they land the cocoon? That's going to be the important one. The cocoon doesn't land, but it's Shook that lives up to the hype and gets first blood.
That was a very impressive, just brute force gank that went through. I'm a QtPie is always going to be pushing the lane. And the fact that just the Zilean slow, which lasts very long, by the way, was enough to let everyone catch up and kill him is a dangerous thing for Dignitas. That gank will continue to happen if Alliance wants it.
Well, right now, the top lane, they're going to poke back and forward. Cruiser the Bruiser, or just Cruiser as he's known in this one, is going to struggle out against Renekton early on in these levels.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Shyvana versus Renekton matchup. You pick Shyvana against Renekton because you can keep up and farm, and then once you hit around level 8 with Shyvana, you can start outscaling. That was one of the things that happened yesterday when we saw the Renekton versus Shyvana matchup. We saw Shyvana try and fight Renekton early, and Renekton pushed him back because he has more sustain early. So Wicked should have the upper hand in this lane for a little while yet.
Oh, Cruiser has support from Crumbs coming around, but unfortunately he just passed straight through a ward. Wicked will be aware of his presence, but hasn't backed away. And Wicked, used to famously be known for basically not using wards because he had full confidence in his abilities to escape the ganks.
And he always has a great game sense of where things are coming from. This is gank number 2.
Going straight in for QtPie once again. Is the cocoon going to come through? No. This time Spell Shield was used at the right time by QtPie, and he does back away.
I still feel like that was a relatively successful gank, though, because Shook didn't take that much time. He ran directly down, got the gank off, got AmaCutiePie really low, which will have a heavy impact on the lane, and then went right back to sweeping through the jungle. So it was an efficient gank that did a pretty good job of getting CutiePie low.
Taking some burst there, but no follow-up really. Kiwi Kid really targeting on Kazmich because Tabs is staying so far back in this lane.
And he can, because at the moment, there's no gank pressure from Crumbs, since Crumbs was spotted in the top lane ward by Wicked, and Kazmich is free to kind of do whatever he wants, since there's no way AmaCutiePie is committing on him because he's so low from the previous Shook gank.
Let's have a look at that mid lane. We haven't had a great deal, although saying that, Kazmich is about to get leashed out here, slowed down, but again, no follow-on. He's just going to keep on the aggression himself, and that's going to force Kazmich to back off. Didn't have to use any flash, though, to get out of that one. Crumbs is coming around to try and help out, warding that tri-bush, and there's actually no ward coverage from Alliance right now in the bottom lane.
Yeah, all of their wards are still pretty much sitting in Kazmich's inventory. He started the game with sight wards and vision wards, still got them right there. And he actually picked up a Doran shield. Since they got Kazmich so low, they're just trying to take that dragon.
Good pressure coming out. Oh, the Cocoon just flashing past on Skara, but it will be the dragon and his Dignitas that will be taking it. That's going to keep them up in gold because they have started to fall behind from lane phase.
And keep in mind, on the 2014 season, the dragon very early on in the game is worth a little bit less. You can see that was only 125 gold per Dignitas team member, and they're still down in gold in the game despite picking up that objective.
There's a big advantage down to be cleaved out in that top lane by Wicked against Cruiser. Cruiser forced on towards that turret. 15 CS behind once again. Froggen just lingering off in the bush trying to land that spear on towards Skara, but instead takes a barrel in the backside for his problems, and they have both hit their ultimates, so we'll see whether they start coming into play right now, though. Crumbs is starting on that blue, and of course Skara is going to come across and pick it up.
And we haven't even talked about our featured matchup right here with Skara against Froggen. It seems like they're farming pretty close. Can he steal this?
Yes, he
got
can.
It. That was just a really heads-up play by Froggen and a bit of a lazy play by Skara and Crumbs. Skara was very obvious about when he was going to be going and getting his blue buff, and Froggen knew which direction Skara went, so he could safely throw a spear just to check. And then Crumbs and Skara didn't time the barrel to kill right as he threw it. The spear preempted it, and Froggen got the blue.
And that, of course, gives the blue to Shook. We'll see how he uses that one, because at least, well, he can benefit from that one quite heavily. Already going for that jungle invade. He's actually going to find Crumbs at the red buff.
Yeah, this could be rather dangerous since Froggen is already pushed up. Crumbs is only level 5. Shook's going to try to combo.
He's going to go straight in there, and you can see Crumbs having to hit that ghost already to get the hell out of there. Dodge, and immediately he's going to try and follow through. Puts a lot of poison damage down onto Crumbs. That's going to force him away. Meanwhile, down the bottom, Kazmich trying to use the bomb on himself and Kiwi Kid. Tab's actually out of position, uses the Culling, catches him perfectly. CutiePie uses that barrier. Is it going to be enough? Gets the Ignite down, and Kazmich hasn't hit level 6, so can't get his ultimate off, but it's going to be a double kill for Tabs.
You could see that Dignitas got caught in a bad place right there as Kiwi Kid and AmaCutiePie were just getting hit one after the other by either bombs or tabs. Yes, they got Kazmich, but that doesn't matter right there. A double kill onto tabs is going to do huge things for them in that matchup.
Just caught out of position, going too aggressive, and the Culling was just perfectly lined up for them. They had to use their flashes to get out of it. So inhibitor spells, summoner spells burned out as well. Double buffs coming in towards this mid lane. Shook and Froggen trying to get on towards that tower, and that tower's actually taken a good bit of damage.
Yeah, the early game right now from Alliance has been absolutely dominating. It doesn't seem like the AmaCutiePie and Kiwi Kid Karma Sivir lane is working out all that well. When they were pushed up, they got ganked. When they tried to make a play, they got double killed, and they're running out of options in that bottom lane.
Well, we see the actual Ruby Crystal coming out from Tabs after that BF sword, so he went back and got himself a little bit more health, wants to keep himself a little bit more damaging, and of course the Cocoon coming in towards Skara. Actually, Shook going heavy on this one. The spear's landing. That's going to force Skara to back away.
Shook has had a much higher presence in this game so far when compared to Crumbs. You can just see all of Shook's ganks have had an impact so far, whether it's getting someone low or getting the kill, and he's been able to control the jungle with the help of Froggen.
Spears from Froggen continue to land. Crumbs is forced to back away this time, and you can see the dominance they've had, and now they're rotating around. They could push the bottom, and that's got to be a careful worrying sign, but instead, they've got free reign in this middle.
And this is a smart call because they know that both Dignitas' jungler and mid laner, Skara and Crumbs, had to go back. May as well get as much much damage on the second interior tower because everyone else on Dignitas is accounted for. This is a no-risk push.
That's a hell of a lot of damage gone down as well. A good 3/4 of the health stripped off that inner turret. Meanwhile, Wicked farming between the turrets in this top lane, and you can see 100 CS to 69. Cruiser is not having a fun time up there right now.
Well, Cruiser has hit that level 9 point. He needs to find a window to go aggressive, but he just doesn't have that right now.
Skara having to dash away from this one. They're not going to land the cocoon. He will be able to back off from that one. Meanwhile, the gank down the bottom. He does manage to land the Culling, but his Kazmich is going to get caught out. Has got his ultimate available, pops it, and he's within tower range, which means Dignitas, they can't follow through in this one. They managed to land the axes, but he's safe.
Dignitas had to give a lot of respect to Tabs' damage while the revive was timing up. I think they could have gotten a kill, but it would have costed them. And since Crumbs ganked the bottom lane, Skara doesn't have any help in this mid lane. They're going to lose that second tier turret.
That's an inner turret going down, and, well, Alliance suddenly turned that aggression around to get 2 turrets along the mid lane. And Skara's thinking, I'm going to start needing help here. We see Crumbs just off at the side of the walls, but there's not a lot of help coming from there. And looking in the top lane again, look at Wicked. He's been between these lanes the entire time, and he's just farming away like nothing ever happened to him.
Alliance is winning every facet of the game right now. They gave one dragon away, but it was early on in the game, and it's because they were just so handily winning all of their other lanes. Unless Dignitas does something drastic here, Alliance is just outplaying them.
KiwiKid has been focusing Kazmich as much as he can. He is landing the shots, but there's just not a lot of follow-up coming in right now. Every time we see the Boomerang Blade coming out from QtPie, it's just falling short because, of course, Kazmich only can speed himself up even if he gets slowed.
Yeah, and Kazmich not starting with that Ancient Coin has only cost him about 180 gold in gold generation now that he's picked it up right now. KiwiKids has gotten him about 210, whereas Kazmich is sitting around 50. So it's not that bad of a thing based on the lane advantages they were able to grab with that early Dorn Shield as well. Things are going well all across the map.
Well, 20 seconds until Dragon. We see Cruiser heading south, looking like they're going to try and set up for this one. But Wicked, he doesn't really care about that. He's continuing to stick in that top lane, keep farming going. Meanwhile, they're trying to get the pressure down. You can see KiwiKid's going to try and chase onto this one. He has got a good leash on towards Tabs, but pops the Culling and could try and turn this one around. We see members of Alliance also coming around the side there. They know that the blue buff is up. They're going to see if they can steal it again.
And this is not a thing they can steal since Shyvana is down in the bottom lane. This is going to be something where Alliance has to concede because Wicked is getting a tower in the top lane.
We'll see how long he sticks up there. Looks like he's not going to be making any moves, so instead it is all going to be about harassing Dignitas on this Dragon. And they've got 4 members of Alliance around here with spears and the Culling available. Actually, the Culling's not up at the moment because he was just used. So Dignitas are going to have to try and brute force this one.
It is a 4v5. Wicked is not there yet, but we could see a fight anyway.
QtPie caught out, bomb goes in, shoot goes deep, and immediately gets caught out, but that's the Zilean ultimate once again playing its role, and it stopped them fighting the Dragon right now. They're going to chase back in, the Dragon has reset itself, they flash out of it, KiwiKid in trouble, Wicked is now joining the fray, and Crumbs is in all sorts of trouble. He's going to go down, they get across on towards Cruiser, Cruiser's going to get caught on, Froggen and Wicked will chase on this one, meanwhile across on the blue buff, they are chasing on towards QtPie and Skara. Now they collapse on, that's going to be a speed buff coming out from KiwiKid. They should get away from this one. The spear's coming through. Spell shield comes out from QtPie. That will be enough to save him. And now they make claps onto Froggen. The spear's coming through. Skara's one more barrel. He bounces across the belly slam. Skara gets a return kill.
Even with Froggen going down, Alliance is just one step ahead of Dignitas right here. They delayed long enough by using the Zilean, and that's a lot of synergy that already exists between Shook and Kazmich, which shouldn't really be possible since they haven't been around for that long together. But Shook, knowing that he could take the death early, saving his repel until after he died, just so he could escape over the Dragon Pit, is all Alliance needed for Wicked to come all the way from the top lane and arrive at that fight. It was a 2-for-1 and a Dragon to boot.
You know, just thinking back to the last time I maybe casted a Zilean, I think it was actually Salsa for CLG back at Gamescom 2011, I think. It's a long time ago when it was mid lane, of course, when he stepped in for mid lane. And ironically was the last tournament CLG won.
Well, as long as you can get through the laning phase with support Zilean, and you don't get out-harassed or beaten down or lose out because you don't have enough sustain, the ultimate in itself is enough that the support can bring. He's also adding very good speed-ups to help counter the speed that Dignitas has from the Karma and Sivir, and things are working out fantastically.
Well, so far, let's have a look at what items they've been picking up, because yesterday we saw a couple of disparities between them, and again, Tab's now going for that Bloodthirster.
Yeah, that seems like the right thing to do. You know he's going to be going for a Trinity Force next, but based on Lucian's crazy AD ratios, getting the Bloodthirster first is the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, you compare it to what Maklik pulled out Infinity Edge, and we were quite surprised by that one. So
this is the common Lucian build.
A standard build. And remember, Tabs was famous for making the Legolas build effectively on Caitlyn was using it on.
Yeah, and Varus, and every AD carry he wanted to play. There's a lot of action brewing down in the bottom lane.
The jungler's facing off, and meanwhile, Wicked and Skara are going to get back meat on in this mid lane. Shoot will be able to throw down that cocoon if he goes to get away, but the bottom lane, we see Froggen also rotating around. He's right behind these 3 pair in this bottom.
Yeah, and there's a chance that in this game, it's going to turn into Froggen Spears controlling things right now. He's getting a lot of ability power, and Alliance is almost a little too strong for Dignitas to fight heads up.
Alliance all gathering in this bottom lane. That's some good boomerangs, though, coming out from ArmyCutie. He does manage to get the spell shoot down, pops the ultimate. Is it going to be enough to turn it back around? The turret's gone down. I'm not too sure why myself, but there is 5 members of Alliance here and 5 members of Dignitas, and they want to fight. That's going to be the cocoon landing on Wicked. Wicked gets straight in amongst them all, pops it down. The culling coming behind. It's the Crumbs that manages to tank all that damage away, and nobody going down, but a lot of ultimates exchanged.
There is not much coordination with Dignitas right now. And those spears are going to continue to crush them. Froggen gets to throw those every couple of seconds with that blue buff and the Athene's Unholy Grail. And Dignitas is down their big move speed skills right now because ArmyCutie used his ultimate for nothing.
Tabs, meanwhile, tries to keep the poke going down. This could be the second inner turret of the game for Alliance, and they keep on pushing through. There doesn't seem to be an answer from Dignitas. That was a 5-on-5, and really it was just Alliance that kept brute forcing their way in there. They have the siege minions with them. They will get wiped out by Cutie Pie, but they're up to the inhibitor turrets, and we're only 17 minutes in the game.
5 turrets to 0, D-Man. Every lane for Dignitas lost, and that's obviously a group effort. You can see this kind of stuff all the time. Is it Shook? Is it the laners? It is definitely a combination of the two. Wicked did that top lane all by himself. That was completely him just beating up Cruiser early on in the game. Shook did make multiple appearances in the mid and the bottom lane, and that has to contribute to their dominance.
KiwiKid forcing Tabs just away from this one, but it's 4 members of Alliance that have stormed this top lane and taken that final inhibitor, inner turret of the game. Wicked trying to get on, he catches on towards Crumbs. Crumbs forced to back away from that one, but it's another turret down. It's now 6-0 for Alliance.
Very rarely will you see a comeback from 6 turrets to 0. And this is the real issue that Dignitas is running into right now. They actually have a very good teamfight composition, with all the move speed that they would be able to put together so that Cruiser and Crumbs could train down people as a very strong tank line. And that's great because Alliance has a poke composition right now where Nidalee and Lucian and even Elise want to just take pot shots at Dignitas where they're the tower. And normally your counter for that with Dignitas' team is to force team fights, use a Sivir ult, and run in. But if they're down 8,000 gold, even if they fight them straight up and they don't get poked down and a fight starts with everyone at 100% health, they would still lose. They would still lose that fight.
Well, there's going to be an unhappy Skara as he checks out that blue buff and realizes it has been taken by Froggen once again. He hasn't actually had that blue buff, I don't feel, in this game at all.
No, Skara has had it, I think, 100% denied from him. No, he may have gotten one right before the fight where they got wiped out when Wicked rolled down from the top lane. Even so, Froggen and Shook have been all over that. And it's not really a full fault at Skara, because once they lose those turrets, it becomes so difficult to control space in your own jungle.
Well, it's just shy of an 8,000 gold lead right now for Alliance. Just 19 minutes gone into this game, and Alliance are starting to have that siege. They have the poke. This is what we were talking about at the start of the game. You have the culling from Tabs. You have the spears from Froggen. And even, I guess you could say, that cocoon coming at you that you're going to have to dodge out the way of, because if that catches you, generally you're going to die following it.
And Scar's going to want to isolate someone on Alliance into the turret and blow the other guys back, and then hope that Zillion ult isn't enough to save them. But when he gets taken that low by a couple Nidalee spears, he's not going to isolate anybody but himself.
Well, when a fat guy stops to take a drink of alcohol, it's a pretty easy target, and that is exactly what Gragas is. Right now, though, the spears are coming through, and Froggen is actually pretty low on mana, so this siege is not going to hold out much longer.
Yeah, he's only got about 2 spears left to throw. He's at 180 mana, no blue buff on him. They might think about getting more here, but they're actually in a bit of dangerous spot.
They're going to go for it. Skara gets dropped straight away. We see the ultimate coming out from Cruiser, but the Culling catching on to all the Dignitas right now. Just off of the side, Shoot gets the revive gone in from Kazmich, and, well, Alliance once again fight through that one with no problem.
Skara tried to go in to isolate, but in getting in range, he got stunned and killed.
Shoot catches the cocoon, and that is an insta-pop on Kiwi Kid. That's going to be the inhibitor turret going down. They will back away from this one. I don't think they're going to go for the inhib turret, the inhib at the end. But of course, Dignitas coming back into this one. Cutie Pie doing his best to keep them at bay.
And his best just isn't good enough right now because he has just the Bloodthirster and home guard boots because they've been defending so hard. No one on Dignitas has their head held high right now.
That's the one.
I think is the one to say. Because they've just been getting dominated. 7 turrets to 0, plus the inhibitor. Skara not even able to get his ultimate off in team fights. I'm a Cutie Pie has not had a relevant on the hunt from Sivir this entire match. And Cruiser and Crumbs, as a tank line, haven't even been able to get into damage range in most of these fights.
And you know, we were talking about Elise and Evelynn being played yesterday. Well, Elise was banned out pretty much yesterday, but now we're seeing the actual build we were expecting from Evelynn players.
Yeah, he's been able to get a lot of Magic Pen. Yes, you get the 1 tank spirit with the Golem Soul, and then you just go Magic Penetration. The Liandry's is good for taking down Crumbs and Cruiser as tanks, getting that % health burn in there, and there just hasn't really even been time for the tanks to build magic resistance as well, so he's actually kind of burning them a little bit like squishies.
Well, of course, the Rabadon's death cap on towards Frog, and we did see an 840 ability power Ziggs yesterday, so I'd be amazed if we get close to that one today. We'll see if we do.
The game would have to go a little longer.
348 ability power for Froggen already, so the spears are going to be doing a lot of damage. It is Alliance once again on towards the Dragon. This time, Dignitas have no answer.
No. I mean, if Dignitas didn't have an answer at the last inhibitor, I mean, look at this. What just happened? It's an 11,000 gold lead, 22 minutes in. Dignitas has to start thinking about regrouping right now because Alliance gave Dignitas kind of what they wanted and just had a much better plan for it.
Well, I mean, let's be fair to the top lane. Renekton versus Shyvana. Renekton will win those opening couple levels, which has happened. Skara getting caught out. He's going to go down. He's dropped before he gets a chance. The culling was what finished him off, which is something you don't often see, by the way. Tabs does have to get away from that tower damage, but again, it's the cocoon that starts everything off.
And the siege will continue. Wicked actually face-tanking that turret. They don't care.
Wicked taking low, but of course, don't forget the revive from Kazmich is there if they need it. So at the moment, it is going to be another inhibitor turret going down. Finally, they are going to move on to the inhibitors this time. The middle one completely exposed as well, so they're just going to rotate around as soon as they take this one down. And Dignitas are going to be 2 inhibitors down and in dire, dire trouble.
And only 23 minutes into the game. It's a total regroup right now. The confidence is through the roof at the point for Alliance. Dignitas is trying to chase through. They're not as fast as they can. I don't think they can finish off anybody.
I don't think they can either. They slice and dice away from Wicked. We saw Tabs getting caught out, but the speed boost from Kazmich straight away. Shoot thrown out. There's spiders, and honestly, Crumbs, if he keeps chasing this one, I think they may turn around on him. Already Wicked, that big front tank-loaded Renekton will just turn back on towards him, force him away. They force him far enough outside the base that they could actually fight.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to initiate if you're Dignitas, but I don't know if they can get anywhere close.
Shook's just off at the side. He's waiting to try and land one of those cocoons. We see the ward coming down from Crumbs. He's actually passing straight by a ward. The cocoon will be thrown out, but he will not find its target. And Dignitas back away.
I'm really trying to figure out here what Dignitas does in the next matchup. Because Skara was on his Gragas. Froggen's Nidalee isn't something he's even played too much of. The spears have obviously been huge for him. I think you actually throw in a Nidalee ban just because it kind of gets rid of the poke. And then if you're Dignitas, you just try and pick stronger early game laners. Because Alliance has proven in this game how well they can really choke out Dignitas once they get an early lead.
I was just wondering, Crumbs in that top lane was pushing through, and he's actually 4 levels behind Wicked now. Wicked doing a fantastic job in that top lane, been charging up on his own, been doing a fantastic job, pretty much free farming that top lane as well. 231 CS to 170 now, so he's a long way ahead in terms of farm and has got the tank build required, the Sunfire Cape, the Randian's Omen, and now the Hex Drinker. There's no lot that's going to stop Wicked jumping on them.
And let's not forget the gold value of the level advantage and how much that is being aided by Kazmich's 8% experience boost on Zilean. Every level you get on a champion is worth somewhere between 500 and 700 gold. And the level advantages across the board on Dignitas are about 2 levels per role. So it's not just the 12,000 gold, it's all the levels and experience too.
Well, Froggen's running interference, throwing out the spears along with Wicked. It's a 3-man Baron, and really there's not a great deal that Dignitas can do about this. They're trying to get close, but now the Baron already is on them, and they're going to be turning and running from this one because Wicked and Froggen, the old EG partnership, are looking for kills.
Yeah, they're playing this one out right now. They can do almost anything they want. Wicked's going in by himself. Everyone's trying desperately to catch up to him so they can have part of the party.
Pops that Dominus, and it's a 5-man chase from Wicked. He's tanking up 2 turrets as well. The spears keep on coming through, but he is just so strong. It's Cutie Pie they're going to single out. The barrel comes out, but from Skara, already dropped. Tabs gets in there, and Dignitas are just melting away from this one. Alliance have absolutely dominated game 1. Europe will take the first victory here. Alliance, 26 minutes into this game, have looked unstoppable against Dignitas.
Yeah, that's the word for it, D-Man. That could not be a better debut for a new squad there. Froggen is really happy after this one, and they're looking extremely potent coming into game 2.
Wow, what a performance. We weren't sure how they were going to be. We knew they were a new team. We knew there was a lot of hype behind them, but boy, they seem to live up to it against Dignitas there. And Dignitas, well, they're going to have to regroup. You talked about it during the game. They must have been talking about it during the game already. It's like, what are we going to do? We got our picks. That's just devastation and shock on Skara's face.
He's not even talking right now. Usually, that's like the Skara face.
That's the Skara face. I just don't know.
Yeah, he just doesn't know what happened. And I'm not really sure what happened either, because games that dominating shouldn't happen for pro teams at that point. You want to figure out where it happened on Alliance. They're obviously really happy about it. But when it's that one-sided, you can't pinpoint one thing. It's like, oh wow, Shook just did everything in that game, or Froggen dominated the mid lane and there was no recovering, because it happened all over the map. That's how it got.
It was 3 lanes, all
so
being
quickly.
lost. The first obviously came in, shoot, ironically missed the cocoon, but he got the kill regardless. And there was just constant action from Alliance. The blue buff steal from Froggen, the spears, everything, like you said at the time. Skara was very lazy in showing that, and maybe that's just Dignitas needing to wake up coming into game 2.
Yeah, at least they have a best of 3 to play here. It's not like they're one and done, but they got to wake up pretty fast. We got maybe 5 or 10 minutes before that next game. They have to rethink their champion pools, maybe. Like, it's so strange because they got what they wanted. They got a tank for Cruz. They got Olaf for Crumbs, who was banned every game yesterday in the promotion tournament. Scar got to play Gragas. I'm a Cutie Pie got to play Sivir. Like, what else are they going to do?
What else
I'm worried for Dignitas here.
Well, I mean, honestly, this was almost an expected result. This is what everybody was predicting. They are the underdogs coming into this game. So let's not get carried away, because TSM Lemon Dogs could be the
It is supposed to be the European super team here. I mean, that was pretty super, as far as I can tell.
That was pretty damn impressive. We're going to have to take a quick break, but when we return, Froggen and Alliance look to end the first fight in the Battle of the Atlantic with one more win. Game 2 between Dignitas and Alliance is going to be coming up right after this.